Hey everybody, welcome to the In All Things podcast. It's time to see God in everything. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the In All Things podcast. My name is Mitch Frost. Steve is missing today because today I'm joined by some very special co-hosts, some guests this morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you go around and introduce yourself and then tell the people how long you've been coming to Sycamore or the Well, and maybe your favorite Well memory so far. Ooh, we're going to get started this morning. Okay. So whoever wants to start, give us your name, how long you've been coming here. We're all you guys are all freshmen, so we don't need to do grades. You all go to North too, so we don't need to do that either. So just give me your name, how long you've been coming here, and your favorite memory. Whoever wants to start.
Oh gosh, okay. I'll start. My name's Samuel Waits. Been coming to SCC my whole life, the Well, since I was in 7th grade. I went to diversion before that. But favorite Well memory, I don't think I could choose between both summer camps. They were both pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. I am Nick Markle. I have been going to Sycamore Creek Church for a long time. Mm-hmm. Ever since Sam started going, we've been going together for a long time. Going to diversion in the Well ever since I was allowed to. Mm-hmm. And my favorite Well memory was probably this camp we went to recently, just being with my friends and just seeing how everyone got saved. So.
Mm-hmm. My name is Aiden Shook, and I've been coming to Sycamore Creek for about 1 to probably 1.5 years, and like the Well for like the same time, and it's really great. And my favorite memory is probably this year's camp. It was very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, camp seems to be a favorite.
Camp's kind of awesome.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So Sam is the returning guest on this show. He's the only one here that has done this before. And for the first time ever, we have a pastor's kid on the show. So that's cool. And Aiden is 15. He turned 15 yesterday. So there you go. So last night was a pretty cool night at the Well. Last night was our third bonfire and testimony night. Usually it's bonfire, baptism, and testimony night, but we're doing baptisms in a couple weeks at our worship night. So last night was bonfire and testimony night, our third one. Have you guys been to all three of those ones that we've done?
I went to last year,
really?
But
last year?
I don't think I was at the one
I've
before.
only been to two.
Yeah. Oh, because you guys, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of give a recap for the people of what we did last night and maybe some of your guys' thoughts on it, whoever wants to go.
I'll go. So a lot of people say a lot of things that you haven't heard from them before. It's very connecting, and it feels like everyone's more connected now, more of a family, because we all know each other's stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're out there and everybody goes up, shares their testimonies, and you just see how God's working, how good he is through all these different people in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like how Samuel said, like, it was very great to see how, like, everyone, even people that I've never met before, go up there and just see how, like, share how God is working. And, like how Nick said, everyone feels connected. And, like, it was just great. I was nervous at first, definitely. But, like, after the fact, I just felt better, like, about myself and just about God. And
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most powerful things I think we do at the Well. It's really funny, not funny, but it's always interesting to me every year that we do it, because somebody will get up and share something really heavy, and like, you know, they'll say a word, or they'll say something that's like, wow, they really went there and they shared that, and then the next person will get up and share something maybe that's like very simple and we all relate to, but it's equally as powerful when everybody gets up and shares, no matter what it is, you know. Why do you guys think that we do something like that with our student ministry? Like, because we do that at camp too. So clearly that's a big part of what we do at the Well. Why do you guys think we do it?
I think we do that because, you know, there's so many different people here at the Well, and so everybody's gonna have a different story, and so by hearing just one story, like your story, that may not connect with everybody, but by inviting students up to just wholeheartedly and honestly tell their stories, that would help other students connect to them and see how God could be also working in their life and how they relate to those people.
Yeah, totally.
Also, I think it helps when people go up there to show how good God has been in their lives and how it's changed them completely from where they've been in the bottom of their life to where they've gotten up to now and how good he's been to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely great. Like, I think, like, when everyone shares their story, like, people that are younger, like, older, even their age, and they they hear it and they're like, oh, I can really relate to that, I think it'll help them be able to share their story, and it'll really make them more confident. Like, I got walked up to after mine, and someone said that they really related to my story, and that really helped me a lot. That was really great.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's good. It's a fun night, and I know it takes a lot of courage. I say that every time we do it for students to share, but whenever we have a night like that, it's awesome. And I said it at the beginning, but these people listening and watching weren't there. But I think you guys plant so many more seeds when you tell stories to people your age and people that are in similar life circumstances as you guys. So getting up there and other students being able to tell stories about what they're going through, I think it just shows God in a bigger way. So that was a lot of fun. And so today, this morning, we're here. And the reason why, just so you guys know, I planned on having you guys on this podcast like months ago, because I started looking at your school calendar and I saw that you were off today. So is it like a teacher work day or something like that? Like a
professional development.
Yeah.
Is it all grades or just high school?
All
Or is
grades.
it
I think it's all
okay.
grades.
Yeah, because Owen and Ryan don't have school today either.
Okay. And so typically when you guys have like off days nowadays, it's like, oh, it's just a virtual day and they still make you do work. But today you guys don't have to do work. So we're taking full advantage. And so we're going to go play some pickleball after this.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
gonna get some Popeyes chicken. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That chicken.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it would be fun to take advantage of you guys being off school and just have you guys here on this podcast this morning. So what I want to do just for a little bit here is I think that you guys have a really cool perspective on the world that we live in because you're living it. You guys are freshmen at a big high school in Pickerington, and you guys are living it every single day. And so I think it could be interesting for us to talk about some different things that come with being your guys' age in the world that we live in. Because I think there's maybe some misconceptions, some different things that, especially people in our church, maybe they don't have students that are in high school, or it's been a long time since they've been in high school, so they don't really know what it looks like to be a freshman in high school. So I thought we could talk about just some different things like that. First question I'll ask you guys is, what pressures do you guys feel? We're jumping in deep here right away. Being freshmen in 2022, going to a big school like North. I went to North as well. My graduating class was like 460 something. I mean, it's a big school. What pressures do you guys feel being a freshman in that school in 2022?
Yeah, so I'll start. A big pressure that I feel is I've always done well in school, so I really kind of put this put this standard on myself that I have to do, like, not perfect, but like the absolute best, and I have to have great grades and do well in sports and play an instrument, so I have to do well at that. And all of that, like, while it is good, like, try my best, it catches up with me sometimes, and it can get stressful to be out here and like, oh, I've like gotta do great all the time, and when I don't, it gets a little hard for me because I'm like, what am I gonna do? And it's just it's hard to handle that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes for me, it's hard because I've always tried to look presentable, try to like kind of fit in, and I always feel the pressure of trying to be a good example, and people are always like watching at school, especially. There's always someone that has their eyes on you, and it's just a pressure of someone's always watching. So you gotta make sure you hold yourself accountable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Aiden?
There's definitely a lot of stress that comes like classes. I mean, I think for me, I have a couple classes with like upperclassmen, and for some reason, like seeing them in that environment, them doing really good in like all their classes, it makes me feel like I have to do super well, like to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And also like with, like you said, that there's a lot of people in the school, that sometimes is like, wow, like this is like, if one thing happens, then you never know like where it could go.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
walking out in the hallway, like you have like hardly any room, like especially in the main hallway, like around you. You gotta like walk slow behind everybody, especially like leaving lunch. It's like a huge crowd of people, and it's just like anything could happen. Like one person gets shoved, you never know what's going down.
Yeah, totally. And like a big thing, you guys are talking a lot about like academic pressure too, and that's changed a lot even since I've graduated. I graduated high school in 2018, and when I graduated, like college classes were just now being introduced to being able to be taken. And I know you guys are taking them as freshmen. There are some of you, but AP classes and stuff like that. So there's even this higher sense on like, oh, I got to get ahead in college and I got to have my whole, I know like I've talked to you guys a little bit, like your whole 4-year like track is planned out when you are like in 8th grade, right? And you go to North and it's like, okay, you're going to be a, biomedical this, and it's like they give you every class for your whole 4 years of being in high school, right? So there is more pressure just because those things have changed in the school system as well. But what about being a Christian? You guys are leaders at the Well, and a lot of people look up to you three, and you guys are all athletes too. And what pressures do you feel in that way of kind of maybe standing up for your faith in the school that you go to or the teams that you're on? Anything there that you guys feel?
Yeah, so I would say it's pretty difficult in high school because there's so much diversity, like there's so many different beliefs, and it's kind of hard to express a belief without offending somebody. And also being freshmen, the amount of respect shown is very little from especially like other freshmen, yes, but especially from upperclassmen, it's like they don't really, not that they don't care, right? But like we're freshmen, it's like whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
People in school more and more now, when you have a certain belief in something, they always want to try and make you be wrong. They always want you to have a problem. So they always try and find a way so that you get mad at them, and then to make it so that's your problem.
Yeah, that's good.
I've talked to you about this kind of before. Like when you're around let's say a group or like a sports team, and they're saying stuff, doing stuff, acting like stuff you don't believe in, or like your faith doesn't want to do. It's definitely been challenging sometimes to like stay to my faith, and like know that it's wrong and know not to do it. But like also with them too, like I know I can go to them and like because they're on my teams and stuff. So like that definitely helps for sure.
And that's a big thing, and it's the reason why I wanted to have you three specifically on this morning. We're going to get to it towards the end, but I do want to talk about accountability because I think you guys do that really well. But we're going to get to that in a little bit. But this question, sorry Sam, this excludes you. I want to talk to you two for a minute. You guys are both on social media, right?
Oh.
And so,
okay, I get it.
What pressure do you guys feel there? Is there any pressure to post about certain things or not post about certain things, or to like certain things or not like certain things, or to what should I be looking at? Like, is there anything that you guys feel in that way?
Well, there's always people that are checking to know stuff from you because they know that you are a Christian. There's people that know, especially for me, that I'm a pastor's kid, so they know that I know more things than say they would. So they always try to find me doing something wrong. Because they want to have something to point out, so they can tell their people like he's wrong, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and it doesn't in all different kinds of things. So it makes you feel more pressured to post different things.
Yeah, that's good.
I definitely think like sometimes I don't know why I feel like I feel pressured like that I'm not posting enough things. Like I'm not sure. Like I just feel like to me I just go on there. I like to look at sports things like. Text my friends, whatever, but I try not to make it like as big as a deal as like society sees it, because like I see it as just like a way to catch up on sports pages or catch up with my friends or family or like something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, definitely. And for Sam, you don't have social media, so that's different.
That's right. It's great.
It's Clash of Clans.
But yeah, I mean, there's Clash of Clans in the U-version app. Right?
Yeah, that's me.
I mean, there's pros and cons, right, to the world of social media and things like that. And, some parents don't allow that, and I have respect for that too. And some parents say, hey, jump right in. And as long as there's safeguards, I think it can be positive and negative at the same time. And so let's ask this question, because we're trying to talk about the pressures that maybe you guys feel being freshmen in this 2022 time. But this might be a big question, but how do you think, we've touched on it a little bit, but how do you think the world expects you to act? Being a freshman, being a guy, in the world that we live in, what expectations do you think are placed upon you? Kind of like this, oh, boys will be boys thing. Like, what do you think that entails for the world that we live in? What do you think is there? What expectations? That's a big question, but you guys have touched on little things, so I feel like we can do it. But what do you guys think?
I think a lot of people in school, like the big athletes or like the whatever, like the upperclassmen, they're trying to make you want to act cool in a way, but like, or like better than someone else, or like put others down just because you're an athlete, and I don't like that because like, I mean, so many different people go to church, go to the well, and like, it's like Samuel said earlier, like about the diversity, and it's like, I feel like putting people in different classes or like different standards isn't like right, and
Yeah. Anybody else have anything? Any expectations you feel being a young guy in the world we live in?
I mean, I think in school everyone expects you to believe what everyone else believes. They expect you to all be the same. They expect you to change how you are in different circumstances to just fit in and be cool. But if you're a Christian, like we say the same, we hold ourselves to a higher standard. But people try and stay the same and try and change for different people to try and fit in better and just be cool.
Yeah,
like you said.
Yeah, like walking around in school, like you'll see all these like groups of guys, and you know, you want to be like them because you want to be accepted, right? Like I know like there's like trends and stuff that goes around on social media. Well, personally, I have no idea what any of them are, so I kind of always am like not made fun of, you know, but like people laugh at me if I'm like trying to do things that everybody else is doing because like I don't know how to do them. But it's like just that sense of like you kind of conform to others' beliefs because you don't want to be ridiculed or left out.
Yeah, I think like, you know, generation to generation that's kind of stayed the same. Like everybody just kind of like there's this expectation of like you got to fit in, right? Like whatever group you're in, you got to kind of be like them, talk like them, look like them, sound like them to be cool, right? That's kind of, you know, that doesn't really change even with time. You know, I'm sure even when Jared went to high school and when Steve went to high school and all these different people and your grandparents, all these, like you go through all the generations. I'm sure there's always been this pressure of like, you know, to some degree you got to conform and you got to just kind of go along with what the crowd is doing, right? At least that's what's expected of you. But I would say even for you guys now more so, there is this a little bit of hostility towards being a Christian, right? It's a little bit more like, wait, you're like actually a Christian? Like, you know, people say like you can kind of believe what you want and do what you want, but really what they're saying is as long as it doesn't contradict or go against what I believe or make me feel bad about myself, then you can do what you want, right? And you guys know full well that Christianity doesn't always line up with that because we are called to change and we are called to be different, and sometimes that goes against you know, what the rest of the world wants us to think, right? And so is there anything else like for being a guy specifically that you guys feel like, you know, how would the world define a guy, or how would the world define what it means to be a young man, anything like that?
So funny thing is, in my English class, just wrote a whole entire essay on this. It's how men are portrayed today in mainstream media and advertisements.
There you go.
And some things that I found from research in a document called Tough Guys is that men are typically portrayed as violent and aggressive, kind of like a hard, like they put up a guise, like a, I don't know, how do you spell it? Like it's like a fake cover basically, that they have to act this one way, be hard. And the one thing is like there were a lot of statistics about like violent acts like school shootings and assaults and things, and the percentage of men that did it was, I don't think, ever below like 85%. So in today's society, a lot of violence is committed by men, and I think that society doesn't necessarily take the correct steps, I think, to address that, but rather not embrace it, but it's just kind of there. And so men are portrayed as this like violent, strong, aggressive type.
Yeah. You guys have anything else to add to that you feel like maybe is expected of guys, or like how the world sees it?
Well, also some people expect us to not be as emotional and kind of be covered up and not show our emotions.
Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, that's just basically what I was gonna say. And like, I mean, like athletics and like strengths and like definitely emotions is the big one for me, I think. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, that's all good. And I mean, if you know, I every once in a while, from my point of view, being a student pastor, you know, I'll see somebody goes to a guy post, oh, this album came out or this song came out, and I'll go listen to it, and typically it's a rap song or something like that, but I'm just always curious what everybody's listening to and looking at, and I'm like, if you ever listen to those lyrics and think about those things, like the way that they portray guys and the way that men are supposed to treat women and all these different things, I'm like, man, that's so different from the way that I feel like we're called to live, you know? And so let's flip it a little bit. If that's the way that the world maybe expects us to to live is like, just kind of be violent, be angry, be not emotional, be removed, be too cool, be all these different things. How do you guys think the Bible defines what it means to be a man, or what it means to be a guy? Is there anything there that you guys have ever heard, or even just looking at, the example of Jesus, like what are some things that you think immediately contradict what's expected of being a guy?
Big thing I would say is loving others. Obviously it's like, whoa, main idea, but it's like, I can see how in today's society it's like portrayed as a guy, you got to be cut off and like Nick said, got to hide your emotions. So that could go with like treating others like rude so that things don't come out about you, that you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in loving others, it helps to show like how you like your emotions on the inside, like you're loving others and you're being real with them,
Mm-hmm.
like by showing love, it's showing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's about like a really good way to live out like how Jesus would live.
Yeah. Anybody else got anything on that?
I think also something like being helpful to others.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jesus was always healing, like
Mm-hmm.
helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think if like us as guys, like if we're there for someone and like a simple act of kindness, like we've been talking about,
Mm-hmm.
like at church in the well, like I think that definitely goes a long way.
Yeah.
And I think if we just continue to do things like that, it'll definitely help people.
Yeah. Jesus told us that he came to serve, not be served, right? And so like that kind of sets up the way that he lived his life. Was he was always looking for other people, right? Everything he did was for the sake of other people, So it's kind of to be a man like him, we kind of have to put ourselves aside a little bit and not be selfish and be kind and be looking for those people. Did you have? It looked like you were gonna have anything.
Yeah. So like in the world, also guys are said to be like more independent and
Mm-hmm.
should be there, keep their stuff with themselves and not share as much.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Bible, when Adam was by himself,
Mhm.
God made Eve because
Totally.
he needed someone to be with him. He
Mhm.
needed another person.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things about the story of how the world was made, right? Is God makes everything, and everything's perfect. Sin hadn't entered the world yet, right? Adam has everything he needs. He's naming animals. He's got this perfect garden he lives in. God's walking alongside him, and God says, well, he's alone, and that's not good, right? And so all this perfection, and God says it's still not good. And then he gives him this partner, right? And in that sense, it's kind of a marriage and a relationship there, but it shows us that God has value for the people that we're around, So the way the world defines it of like we need to be, self-dependent and we need to not care about anybody else and we can figure it out and just grit our teeth and do it. That's very different from the way that God has structured us to live, because even God himself, he exists in three persons, right?
Mhm.
So God himself is a relational being. And so he's created us to be in relationship with other people, friends, all different kinds of things. So yeah, I think that's really good. And at the same time, Jesus tells us to lead with love, and he's very kind, and he's serving, and he's gentle, and he's all these things, which is very different from the way that the world defines being a guy, right? But at the same time, Jesus also calls us to lead, and he calls us to be strong and to be tough. So there is this balance, right? We need to do it in a way where we are loving the way that God has called us to love, and we're looking for other people the way that God has called us to. But at the same time, it's okay to sometimes be tough, and it's okay to sometimes lead and things like that. And so, and so it's really not one or the other. It's okay to be emotional and to feel things and to have those friends in your life like you guys do and all of that. Like I think that's the way that God made us. And so yeah, I think that's really good. And so let's kind of shift a little bit here. We've kind of talked about maybe some of the way that the world defines what it looks like to be a guy, the way the world defines us to have success, all this different stuff. And so let me ask you three, okay, let's get personal here. For you three, why do you hold so tightly to what you believe? For some of us, it's kind of just always been like for you especially, you've had as a pastor, and so it's just kind of like what your life has always been. But still, I think it's important for you to answer this question too. Like why, for us at this table, why do we hold so tightly to our belief about what Jesus has done for us? Why do we hold so tightly to the fact that the Bible is true? Because the world that we live in is getting more and more less Christian. And the school that you guys go to, not everybody's Christian, right? And so, what makes it worth it for you guys? What makes it so worth holding on to? I think that's an important question.
So kind of last night, we hear everybody's stories and you hear the pain people go through, and like that's with other believers, right? And I know people, I have friends that aren't believers, and I just know that there's people at school that just they have pain and they have things that they're going through. And I saw how powerful last night was, and you can see how Jesus works and what good he does. And for me, I want to be able to show everybody Jesus' love and how good he can be, because if I can bring one person to Jesus and they be saved, that would be worth it to me, because I don't want those people to have to, experience that pain when I feel like Jesus could definitely be helping them. And yeah.
Yeah, people also, like at school, like they know my beliefs. They know how I am because they know I'm a pastor's kid. They know how I've lived. And I stay so strict to those beliefs because I've seen how bringing like one person to church, like Aiden, how it's developed and how strong he's gotten and how we've gone.
Yeah.
And so why shouldn't other people get that chance?
Totally.
So I always try and bring people and try and plant a seed in someone, because you never know how that'll develop and how they'll grow.
Definitely, just like what he said. I mean, you too, like, basically brought me to church, and like, after seeing what God has done for me, like, it's like they said, why can't other people get the chance?
Yeah.
And it's like really great to see like the good he's done in everyone's lives, and it's really great.
Yeah, it's like, it's one thing to be told it or to like know, okay, these are the stories and this is the God and this is the Bible and all that stuff. But like when you live it and you see it for yourself, it kind of does become that mindset of like, well, I got to let everybody else know about this. Like, if God can do this for me, then he can do it for anyone, And what you were saying last night, or what you said about last night, Sam, about how, like, people get up and share these stories, and, there's people, friends that we have and people in our schools who have those same problems and those same stories, but they don't have God. And that big difference is we have a hope to hold on to, right? We have something beyond ourselves and beyond those problems to look at. And just imagine, thinking about the problems and the things that people shared last night, imagine going through those things without God. Like going through those things without a hope that there's something more than you. That's, to me, that sounds so, to be honest, very sad. Like that sounds hopeless. Like that sounds like kind of pointless, right? But we have this hope that's bigger than, we're struggling and we have these problems and we share these things, and God's still bigger than it, So it's kind of this hope that goes beyond the problems that we have, and that kind of makes it worth it, to keep going even when life gets tough. So yeah, I like that a lot. So this might be where we kind of get into the accountability conversation a little bit, because I think that you guys, and there's a lot of students who do this, but you guys are really good at this. And I think if the adults in our church and Christianity as a whole got better at this, our faith would look a lot different. So let me start by asking this. How do you guys stay above kind of the expectations and the things that the world is asking you to conform to, or just, give up your beliefs, or don't stand so strong, or just accept, everybody and all their sins and all that? How do we stay above that? And because you guys are kind of swimming upstream, right? In a way, you guys are kind of walking against what culture's asking you to do by being a Christian. And the Bible tells us that's exactly what we're supposed to do. But how do you guys do that? Okay, and I think a part of that is accountability. So maybe we'll just start there. What does that look like for you guys? For you three at this table, what does it look like to be accountable?
I would say staying connected and going through life together. When you're alone, it's a lot harder, I think, to hold on to something that you believe. But surrounded by these two guys, like, together, like, it's comforting, and encouraging to see that they have the same beliefs as I do, and they can take them out into the world. So it's like, I can do that too. It's kind of like that unspoken, like, encouragement.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
What do you guys think about accountability?
Well, for us, we've been together for a while, us three. We've been strong together. We've been in our bottom of our life together. We've been all the way up together. We've gone through it all. So it's easier for us to talk to each other, and whenever we're struggling, we tell each other so we can go through it together.
Yeah.
We don't work by ourselves, because it would be a lot harder to go through that.
Yeah.
But when we push each other to get through it together, then we do so much better.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. Like, we always, all three of us, all talk to each other, like, every day. So it's like we've been together, like Nick said, just for a while, and like if one person is like, oh, I'm struggling with this in my faith, or oh, I forgot to read the Bible tonight, or like I forgot to do my plan, it's just like, it's always encouragement. It's always, you got it tomorrow. It's always like, everyone makes mistakes. It's like,
yeah, it's just one time Nick will whip out a random Bible verse, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
it's like, thanks,
thank you. And it's like very encouraging to me, because definitely, like Samuel said, if I was alone in any of this, I think it would be very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Like to have a great and strong faith, and like it's just very good to have people that
Yeah,
can
and
help
we're
me.
not meant to do this alone. We're not supposed to do this alone. God doesn't want us to do this alone. He puts people in our lives so that we can rely on them, we can count on them. There's Bible verses that talk about how just two people or one person, they have a really hard time standing up and really a hard time fighting life. But two or three people going at that same life and those same problems, they have a lot better chance of standing together and being stronger. And so let me ask this for you guys, with this whole idea of accountability. How did you guys develop this? Because I would imagine it wasn't just one day you were all just oh, let's talk about all our deep problems and every struggle we have. It had to be developed, right? So kind of where did it start and how did it get to where it is?
I definitely think camp, in my opinion, is where
That's what I was gonna
it
say.
started to develop, because when everyone came together in that environment and I just started getting closer with other people and meeting new people, we started to get more comfortable with each other in our faith. And I think that really contributed. And a lot of people from the well, we can just talk to each other, and us three especially are just really comfortable with each other. And I think that's a very, very big contribute.
Yeah, I mean, camp kind of forced us to spend.
Yeah.
It always does,
Yeah.
but you kind of get forced to spend a week together, right? So you get to know some people really well, and it's kind of out of your comfort zone. It's kind of like a sped up version of spending a couple years with somebody, right? Of getting to know them and being vulnerable with them and open with them and all that. Camp is kind of like a sped up version of that, where in 5 days, you're going to be with these same group of people for all 5 days, and you're going to be tired, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to be sad, and you're going to be all these feelings, right?
Literally everything.
So it's kind of like a summed up version of a year or two of somebody's life, where it just happens in 1 week, and that's why these kind of relationships can come out of there pretty strong. But anybody else have any thoughts on how that's kind of developed, that idea of accountability?
I knew Samuel was going to say that, so I had to do it first.
You raise your hand
and so, do you guys would you say at this table, that you guys pretty much tell each other everything that you
Yeah,
go through?
Yeah.
literally, yes.
Especially
100%.
especially after camp, just some conversations we've had. It's wow, I don't know if I would have been able to tell that or
To
say
anyone,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And is there is there a certain time of day that you three talk, or you three have these moments, or is it kind of just whenever?
No,
it's
it's
whenever. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
No, it's not timed or anything.
Yeah.
It's just.
And I know that you guys, because I've done them with him too, you guys do Bible plans and stuff like that together as well. And so it's just staying connected in God's word, right? Like using each other's perspectives and point of views to teach each other, which is super cool. But then, constantly throughout your day, on a random Monday morning or a Tuesday night or whatever, just hey, I'm struggling with this, or hey, can you guys pray for this? That's the way to do it. And it's so cool to watch you guys do that, and especially coming out of camp. I mean, there's the three of you, which I would say are kind of each other's accountability partners, but you guys have a big group message too. What's it called?
Yeah.
The accountability babes.
Yeah, we did not make the name, so
And
no.
how
did not
many
make
how
that.
many people are in that?
15, I think.
15 of you guys?
13 maybe?
Something like that.
13, 14, 15,
And
somewhere.
that
Somewhere
kind of
in
came
there.
out of camp, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But even in that, you guys are really good at, hey, I'm feeling discouraged today, and people will send, verses and all types of things, right?
Yeah.
Which is just super cool.
That's great.
And I think, speaking not just to us at the table, but to everybody, we get so overwhelmed by this thought of doing life with other people. I don't know where to start, and I don't know what it's going to look like, and they might think I'm crazy, and my problems are too bad, and I struggle too much, and all this different stuff. And really what it comes down to is find the people that you already have around you, friends that are kind of moving in the same direction towards Jesus, and then just start to maybe send them a text once a day. Or, especially in the world we live in with phones and technology, all it takes is a group message. All it takes is something like that. You might not have the chance to see, you guys do because you're in school, which is an awesome time of your life, but there's going to come a time when you guys leave school or you go to different colleges, and you're not going to be in each other's lives every single day in terms of physically, right?
Yeah.
But you can still send a text to each other. You can still call each other. You can still do these types of things. And so for everybody listening and watching, I think there's a lot to learn from the three guys at this table, because they keep each other in each other's circle and in each other's corner every day, even when things are good, even when things are bad. And that's a really, really good way to fight this thing called life, because doing it by yourself and feeling like you just have to carry every problem and every weight, and you don't know what to do, and is God even listening, and all this stuff, that can be really tough. And there's a lot of people who will just stop trying and they'll just fall away from God because they're by themselves. But when you get people around you to kind of do this thing with you, then it's like, oh man, like that, so-and-so sent me that verse and that's exactly what I needed to hear. So-and-so reminded me of this and that's exactly what I needed, And I know you guys are sitting here like nodding your heads, and that's exactly how it goes.
Exactly how it is. Literally exactly.
And so we're not supposed to do this by ourselves. One of the biggest ways, and we've talked about it as well before too, but it's cool to see you guys actually run with it. But one of the best ways to really get serious about your faith is to surround yourself with other people that are, kind of moving in that same direction. So maybe we're kind of getting close to the end of this here, but I kind of want to end by talking about, you guys are kind of swimming upstream at your school, on your sports teams, things like that, and it's helpful because you have the three of you together and the bigger group of the 15 or whatever of you guys. But do you guys think that people notice that you are different? Do you think people notice when you act different?
Personally, I would say, yeah, I have a couple friends who I'm in most of my classes with at school, and it's like, especially like a big thing is like cussing. I don't cuss. I know none of us do, but it's like they'll be sitting around me saying all these things, call me all these names, and it's like, do it, you little Christian boy, do it. Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And so that's like one thing. It's like, oh, he's the Christian boy. Gotta listen to your good Christian music. Oh, can't say all these words. Yeah.
No, that's good.
It's like another thing is because this just annoys me so much. Is they'll hit me like all the time. It's always like bang bang. They're always punching me, right? And it's like, oh, hit me back, you little Christian boy. It's like, oh, what are you gonna do? And it's, and I don't do anything because I don't really care. But that's one thing.
No, that's a great example. I mean, even those small things, people are noticing that you are that little Christian boy. I think people are noticing that you're different, right? And that's okay. That's gonna be the title of this podcast episode: the Little Christian Boys.
Yeah. Yes. I like that.
3 little Christian boys.
For you two, anything else that you guys feel like how do people notice that you guys are acting different, or you are different?
Some people have told me, especially some people at lunch, like they've noticed they're like, "Why are you so nice?" Sometimes I'm just trying to be nice or just trying to be better, and they've just noticed, and it's just simple things. It doesn't have to be some extravagant thing. Just like sometimes I've had like some cookies at lunch, and I just share. Like I just give them one, and they're happier. Yeah. But and also some people have told me they're like, Samuel's so nice to me. Like why is he so nice to me? And I just get to share the word with them, and it's just awesome to hear that about my best friends and stuff like that. Always telling me how nice they are.
Yeah, that's good.
I definitely like over this past year, like God has worked in me the most. So I think coming back to school like in August, like after the moving was in its like prime basically, I think making the adjustments to like sticking with my faith, and people have started to notice that, which is really great, and like them always being so nice and like definitely helps too.
Yeah. And we've talked about this. We got you a couple weeks ago. We were talking about how some people that you're close friends with have noticed that you're different, and you're like, you're not talking the way you used to, and just you're a little bit different than you used to be, and I think that's awesome. So, Aiden, I'm gonna put you on the spot for a minute. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I want to ask you two how you've noticed that he's been different in the last year or so.
Okay, time to be brutally honest. So the big thing that like I've known Aiden since kindergarten, and the big thing for me was, no, I'm not being rude, but is you cussed a lot. I remember it would sometimes like I just thought you were like cussing at me, and I like would think it's rude, and I would go inside and be like, oh, Aiden was cussing again today, oh blah blah blah. But ever since you found Jesus, like I don't think I've heard you say a single cuss word, and it's amazing, it's beautiful. And it's like that's like a really big way I think God has changed you, is the way that you speak. You're a lot kinder, and you have a lot more uplifting words.
Also, with you used to be a little more angry and a little less happier in times. You would be more short fused, kind of.
Oh yeah, like when we're like playing basketball, like outside.
Used to rage.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But now when you got saved, you've gotten so much better at being happier and being harder to get angry and being nicer, and it's just so great to see that.
Yeah,
do you agree?
Yeah, I do.
You got really good at that. The one verse where it's like, quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. That's proves so much better. Yeah. Like that's one thing. Like when I hear that verse, I'm like, oh, Aiden. It's like the first person I think about.
Thanks. Yeah. It was definitely really hard. Obviously, like the path I just felt like really bad about myself, but like them, like looking up to them, and like I was like influence to be a better person, and like it just really helped me a lot, definitely.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, that the reason why I wanted to do that for just a minute, I didn't even plan on doing that, but you're like one of my favorite stories. I like to brag on God right now, because I just think watching you over this past couple months, and from camp to now and strongholds to now and all that, like it just proves like God is so good, and he can do awesome stuff. And then watching you guys kind of like come in his corner, and like it's just so cool. And so I do think you guys are a great example of that, of how people notice when you are different. And Nick, I love the fact that you said it can be small things. It can be sharing your cookies with somebody. Like it literally can be like, it can be small stuff, and people notice. They're going to go, man, like there's something different about the way they respond in stressful situations, or the way they respond when they're getting punched in class. Like people notice that stuff,
It's great.
And Aiden, when we went and got lunch that one day, we were talking about how when you get to a place, I want to have you guys agree or disagree on this, and just kind of share your thoughts. But like when you get to a place in your faith where you are confident of what Jesus has done for you, like you can sit across the table from anybody who believes anything, talks anyway, does anything, and it doesn't shake what you believe. It doesn't change anything. You have this confidence and this boldness of what Jesus has done for you, that I can go into any space, and I know I'm not going to leave and go, oh, maybe I should not be a Christian anymore. Like I'm so confident in what I believe that I can go into the friends I used to have, and they can talk a certain way and think a certain way and act a certain way, and it's not going to move my heart towards anything. Yeah. And we were talking about that, and I thought it was really cool. But what do you guys think?
That's so true. I think I'm going to speak for Nick and I here, considering that we've always been going to church, and we've always had that kind of belief. But I would say definitely it's together we're at, I would say Aiden's getting there, and he's almost there, he's close, but together we're at a point in our faith where it's like, doesn't matter, like you said, doesn't matter who's across that table. It's like we know that Jesus is bigger, better than whatever they're going to tell me, whatever they're going to say. And it's like he's working in my life, right? And I'm just going to try and live out how he would live. I like to view it as like, what would Jesus do in this situation? It's like if somebody's talking to me like that, what would Jesus be like? Oh, blah, 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 some comical retort or something rude.
Yeah, definitely.
And also with our new church series, right? It's gotten a lot easier with being with God to be unoffendable, because I used to get offended all the time. I would fight back. Like they would say something to me, I would say something back. I wasn't scared, but now I've gotten better at just taking it and just being nice back. Like with other Bible verses, how it's like you get hit one cheek, turn the other cheek. Gotten a lot better at that, and just letting people just let them take it and just being nice.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we're getting close to the end here. So we always end with, like, we call it our landing section, where we kind of talk about real things that people could take from this conversation and actually do something with. And so I want to end by kind of two different things. One, I want to end by what can people do to maybe find accountability partners, to find people in their life to really do life with. So maybe we'll start there. What would you guys say to anybody watching, listening in our church, no matter how old they are? Where can they start if they feel like they would love to do life with somebody?
I would say, like, these two dudes, like, I'm with them, like, all the time, right? I would say look for somebody that you see often, that you are with, that you do life with most of the time, and that they can be there for you during ups and downs, and, like, that's a really big thing.
Yeah. And for adults, I mean, small groups is probably the best place for you guys to find them. There's people with the same beliefs as you, do the same things as you. Like with us, we have the same activities we do, same interests, same beliefs, so we just clicked. Yeah. If you find someone with the same beliefs and the same interests and stuff they do, just doing stuff together.
Totally. Yeah, that's great. Aiden, do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean they hit on basically everything, but like it's like even though I wasn't friends with some of the people I met at camp, like once I met them, it was just like a click. I'm like, they believe the same thing as me, like Nick said. Yeah. And it's like if you're close to those friends or people and you want to grow in your faith and you want to practice these things, then if you can find people that are like that in your church, like with you, it's just going to help you so much in accountability.
Totally. Yeah. I think that's like obviously the most important thing, right? Is like you got to have this moment internally where you're like, I want to get serious about this. Like I want to take my faith seriously, and so therefore I can't do it by myself. I think once you have that moment, then you're going to start to look at the people around you in small groups or close to you, hopefully, somebody you see often, somebody you have similar interests, right? Look at those friends you have and be like, all right, I know so-and-so, like, they're moving towards Jesus too. And if I want to get better and not do this by myself, I'm just going to send them a text. I'm going to be a little bit bold. I'm just going to say, hey, can we hold each other accountable? Like, sometimes that's how it has to start, you know? So, yeah, I think that's great. And then we'll end with this. How can we all, everybody listening, watching, us at this table, how can we live more like Jesus no matter what generation we're in and no matter what the world is telling us? What are some real ways for us, if people listen to this conversation, it's over, they just turned it off, what can they start doing right now?
I think what Nick said is like how he in school definitely just tries to be nice, and it's not like a super big thing. You're not like buying somebody flowers right all the time. It's like that little thing. Just try and be kind in a situation where you could be kind, or you could like maybe just do nothing. Not like you're gonna harm some situation, but where you could be kind. Choose to be kind, because you never know the person, like how that might impact them. You never know if they like might really need that kindness in their life, and I think that's a big thing, like just like holding a door for somebody.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I mean, simple things like praying. I mean, reading YouVersion, like Bible, like sticking with those people that are close to you and like that believe the same things as you, and like that can push you towards having a great faith. I think that definitely helps.
Yeah, that's great.
And they both said everything that I had.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, you guys have any other thoughts or anything you feel like maybe is on your heart to share as we close this morning? Anything that you feel like you haven't been able to say yet that you wanted to say? Anybody? It's okay if not. I just wanted to give everybody a chance.
This was great. I mean,
yeah,
it was fun. It was really
fun.
I was nervous, but I'm good.
Hey,
Yeah,
no
it was great to meet
worries.
us back at it again.
But I love you guys. I'm proud of you guys. This was awesome, and I really think there's some people that are going to be moved and impacted by this conversation. So thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah,
anytime.
And
Anytime.
Literally anytime.
for all of you listening or watching, let us know what you thought of this conversation. Send in your topics and your questions and your ideas for future conversations. And we will see you. Actually, next week is special. Next week on Sunday morning, we're doing a live podcast at 9:30 and 11 here at Sycamore Creek Church. So we'd love to have you there for that. But it'll also be uploaded that following week. So we will see you sometime soon, maybe in person, maybe on another episode of the In All Things podcast. Have a great week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the In All Things podcast. Our challenge for you today is to send this episode to one person. Seriously, think of somebody right now that could use this conversation and send it to them. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic ideas, please send them to podcast@sycamore.org, and make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Sycamore Creek Church so that you can always see what's going on in our world. If this conversation helped you at all, make sure you share it, leave a review, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on a single episode. We love you, God loves you, and we'll see you next week on the In All Things podcast.